Hello everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and I have a message for Funimation. Last year, Funimation, you guys did something that you said you would never ever do. You decided to start a Kickstarter campaign. And it wasn't for a show that you were intending to bring over to America. It was a show you already had the license to, and that show was The Vision of Escaflowne. Now, why you did the Kickstarter made a lot of sense. It's because you saved the license from Bandai, who went out of business several years ago, and you wanted to release it on Blu-ray. You wanted to, do an HD remaster and everything, release all those previous special features. And there was another thing. You had versions to the episode that Bandai did not have. The first several episodes had home video versions that had finished animated sequences that were not aired on TV for time constraints, but released on DVD in Japan. When Bandai released them, these scenes were not available to them for whatever reason, so we never got them. You guys had them, and you thought, hey, it'd be nice to put them back in. But there's just a problem. The old dub did not dub these scenes, so therefore, you need to do a whole new dub to include the scenes if you wanted to watch it in English. Now, you were certain it would probably sell, and you were going to release it one way or the other, but you weren't sure if the cost of a new dub would justify the return of investment. Who knew how many people would actually buy the show? It had been out for years. A lot of people still had their old DVDs, so you decided to do something I thought was good. You did a Kickstarter, and you stated, we're bringing the show out, but here's what we want to do. We want to do this new dub of this show, and we're not sure if we can afford it, or if it would be enough interest to invest in it. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to do this Kickstarter, and if we meet our goal, we will do the dub. And if we don't meet the goal, okay, we will release it as is on Blu-ray. In stores, we're still bringing it out. And this was a very good way to do the Kickstarter. And it certainly was, it made a lot of sense because, again, you're Funimation. You're the biggest anime company in America. You obviously don't need money to do things like this. This was just one of those times where you just were not sure of whether or not the demand was there. Now, here's the thing. I applaud you for that. And the Kickstarter succeeded well beyond what you had hoped. And even I contributed like $200 to it. So there you go. But as I sit here thinking about that, it kind of dawns on me. Isn't there another show you could kickstart? Another show that maybe fans would like to see more of? Another show that you have been bugged about for years and years to continue, and yet you just insist that there's no money there, even though we have a perfect opportunity to find out if that's true? That's right, I am talking about Case Closed. Now, some of you are going to roll your eyes because Case Closed has kind of been like one of those long-running jokes in anime fandom for America. Because Funimation picked up the show years ago. It aired very briefly on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim before being pulled due to low ratings, which I think had more to do with the fact that it was airing at 1:30 in the morning rather than that no one was actually liking it. And it's kind of amazing the big following the show has gotten since then. Over the years, it has gotten a cult following that would make Firefly fans envious. Like, it doesn't have its own convention because we have anime conventions, but people buy the books religiously. They were fan subbing the show for years to try to find out what happened next. And when Crunchyroll brought simulcasting of the show to their service, it quickly became the #1 stream show on their site. Case Closed is a very, very big deal now. And Funimation still owns the rights to it, but here's the thing. They only dubbed 5 seasons and 6 movies worth of the series. Now, they argue that the show was never financially successful enough to continue, and I would agree because when they were releasing it, it was a very different market. They were selling them in individual DVDs and at 3 to 4 episodes each for a show that at the time was like 400 episodes. Now it's like over 800. That was just not going to be financially feasible for most people to do. They kept the movies going a little longer, but the thing is, the show was not popular. And at one point, they finally just said, you know what, we're done. And it's been that way for years. Case Closed, with the exception of the simulcast, has not had any new releases from Funimation, and Funimation has to keep telling people, no, it's not going to come. And the thing is, while I would normally agree with the company that if it wasn't really making money, don't bother with it, I think Case Closed at a point where it would make money because people want that 6th season. They want it really, really badly. And on top of that, season 6 is where the storyline really starts to pick up and kick into high gear, and it would be a great time to reintroduce the franchise to the general public. But there is that little issue that the show never really did that great, and I acknowledge that. So that's it, right? I mean, Funimation just gives up? Well, not exactly. You see, the funny thing about this is Funimation has had two opportunities to let the license for this thing slide, and they've renewed the license both times, which means that it must still be successful enough for them to keep the license from other people, just not successful enough for them to keep releasing more. And my whole thing is, why have a license if you don't intend to use it? So here's my advice, Funimation. Why don't you kickstart Case Closed? I mean, seriously, I'm not even joking. I mean, you keep saying how people bug you all the time at conventions, on the website, and emails, hey, when's more Case Closed coming? And we have to keep telling them, hey, Case Closed never sold enough to warrant more. We're just simply not going to do it. But now you have a golden opportunity to find out if that's even true. So here's my recommendation. Start a Kickstarter project for Season 6 of the show and say, you want Case Closed, now's your chance to prove it. If we get this much money, we will release Season 6 of Case Closed on DVD, subtitled. Not dubbed, subtitled. Just see if you can keep the show going on a subtitled release. Then you could have a stretch goal where if we make this much money, the show will come on DVD dubbed. If we reach this goal, it'll also come out on Blu-ray. And hey, if it reaches this goal, we will dub a movie while we're at it. And you can see if the fans will actually put their money where their mouth is. And where this puts you in a very good position at this point is you can pretty much show the fans if you're right. I mean, if the fans don't show up to support the Kickstarter project and it fails, you have a precedent like, see, we tried, we told you it wouldn't sell, we kickstarted it, and you proved us right. This is why we're not going to be doing any more Case Closed. But what if it succeeds? If it succeeds, this works out great because you've got free publicity for the show, you've got seed money to at least get one more season out of the gate without you having to invest your own money into it, and you could then maybe consider releasing more seasons without Kickstarter. And if starting with a whole season of a show might be asking for way too much money up front, start with the movie. Say, hey, we want to release another movie. Here's how much it's going to cost. And if we get these stretch goals, we'll do 2 or 3 or 4 movies. You can even do a poll before the Kickstarter campaign to find out, hey, which are your favorite Case Closed movies that have not been released? And depending on those results can determine the order on which you decide to dub them first. Because for the record, movie 7, maybe people don't like as much, but movie 12, people really like, and they would be more than happy to back that in a Kickstarter. I'm going to say personally that if there is a chance that I could get Season 6 of the show, at least on DVD and dubbed, I will contribute $500 myself. Maybe more if the rewards are even bigger, because like Shenmue 3, this is something I've wanted to come out for a long time, and I would gladly invest my money into it. But the bottom line is you're not doing anything with Case Closed. It's just sitting there. You have the license. You're not doing anything with it. No one else can do anything with it. The fans are getting really pissed at you. And this would be a good way to really genuinely test the waters to see if maybe after all these years, the tide has changed. Maybe now Case Closed can succeed. And if it doesn't succeed, well, then you have your ammunition that, hey, you see, we tried. It didn't work. We're sorry, but Case Closed. Sorry, bad pun. And that is the next step I would love to see happen in the whole Save Case Closed movement. I would like to see people encouraging Funimation to kickstart it rather than just begging them to release more. What do you folks think? Do you think Kickstarter is a good way to go for this? Do you think it's a bad idea? Have you given up? Do you still have a little bit of hope? Remember, it took 17 years for us to get Shenmue 3. It hasn't been that long for Case Closed, so we could still get more. I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.